Well, welcome, Nin O'Leary, Director of Doyle Sales Ireland and crew on the Volvo 70 Tschuss 2 for the Royal Ocean Racing Club Transatlantic Race. Thanks for your time, considering we're, 21 hours from the start of the race?
Yeah, a little less than that. Yeah, we
How's
start
the
half
how's
half
the
midday.
how's the weather looking ahead? Have you had a peep?
It's gotten better and better and better. Like we arrived here 5 days ago, and the
Yeah.
trip was looking like 10 and a half, and weather models are too unpredictable that far out. And even for this race, we'll be constantly monitoring it for the navigator, who get very little sleep. But it's looking like hopefully 8.5 days. We've
Okay.
provisioned for 9 days of food, so
Okay.
hopefully no majors.
Absolutely. And your role on the boat is trimmer and driver, right?
Correct. Yeah. I'll be
Okay.
on a watch rotation, 4 hours on, 4 hours off.
Okay.
If there's maneuvers, everybody's on deck. We're only
Okay.
12 people, and there's three pedestals requiring six people to wind. So half the crew are winding while the other half are doing the other roles. So yep,
Fantastic.
yep,
And how do you, so take me through how you prepare for the challenges of the race, in the kind of week ahead
yeah,
of the start. What's
yeah,
going on with the
yeah.
crew?
Well, we came out, as I said, 5 days prior to the off. We sailed the following day once everyone got in from all over. And really, there's been a shore crew here, three guys for the week prior to that, prepping all the engineering and running the water maker and the engine and the alternator and making sure all that is doing what it should. And then we come in as a sailing team and then to try to tick off all the sails. Most of them are furling sails, so they need to be put onto their cable length adjusted, put the sails in the sky, and get a good race furl. So when we go to start, we've no majors. The sails open up as they should, and we're happy with their lengths because just yesterday we had to drop 500 square meters by hand on the deck, adjust the cable length, rehoist it again, furl it up, and make sure it's nice. So there's yeah, everyone has their own role and their own responsibilities. Me trimming, make sure we've enough sheets, how many spares we need, sail repair, sail repair bag. I flew out with a bit of material that will come into play if we have any damage. So everyone has their role, and that's the prep that we all have to look at.
Okay. And why, tell us how you feel that the boat itself is so suited for a transatlantic, the Volvo itself. Is it?
Yeah. The Volvo 70 obviously this was Groupama 4, which won the Volvo Ocean Race. They're ocean going animals. Set them up and get the right sails on at the right angle, and you're gone. So we will be chasing down Rambler 88. If the conditions were too heinous, they might be throttling back, whereas these boats are built for the Southern Ocean and happy in any condition. Once you can stay on your feet and
And
keep it.
how do you, can you give us an insight into how the crew is selected? Is it done by a small group, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
yeah. This boat obviously is the second boat for the owner. He'd had two prior to this. I was involved in the first two, more of a tactician's role on the Fast 40 that we campaigned in the Solent and in America. And yeah, that would have been a 10-man crew, 9, 10-man crew, depending on the wind strength. But really, it's the boat captain and the owner who would have a selection of who's there doing what role.
Personalities must be interesting on a boat like that, especially in a high stress kind of a condition. They're the interaction between the crew and who
Yeah,
maybe sometimes somebody doesn't gel.
yeah, possibly, but they don't. They might be there for the next regatta, or they. But no, generally, look, it's a fully professional team. We all have our roles. When there's a major happening, uh, there's a crew boss trying to orchestrate the other 11 of us, and everyone has to stay calm, collected, and ease their sheet when they're meant to. Daggerboards up, daggerboards down, furling lines. There's a lot of string and a lot of orchestra to happen for each maneuver. So that's why we're here early and training prior.
What for personally for you, what's going on in your head when it comes to the challenges? What do you think is the biggest challenge for you as part of the race ahead?
I suppose again, tactically, we've very good decision makers, very good navigator, and then really my role is to put the sails in the shape that makes the boat go as fast as it can in the wind angles, and then when you're driving, you can think nothing about anything else other than where my target true wind angle is, boat speed, how the boat's reacting, and it kind of helps to be a driver and also a trimmer to be like quick glance up the mainsail. Hey, give us 100 mil of traveller down, feels a little better. The rudder's loading up and understanding those dynamics. So there's a lot of important things to happen, and each person takes on their responsibility. But I can't be thinking of what's happening on the bow, and that's the bowman's job. The pitman, I can't be looking over his shoulder because I'm not then concentrating on my role. So yeah, yeah,
And you're I was looking at the yellow brick for last year's race, and there was some interesting decisions about people deciding to go north and south, and there was a lot of heavy weather north. What's the approach to the navigation at this point of trade winds, ocean currents? What's going
yeah.
through your heads?
Yeah. There still is a threat of the north, but it's you have to tie into probably a dozen different wind shifts across 3,000 miles. Whereas the south is aligning a bit better with trade winds, and the majority of people will be headed south. Maybe some along the rum line, if they're that bit bigger. I have seen some boats routing, and we have a weather briefing this evening, and then tomorrow morning, if it's a little faster or if it's a little slower, we then have decisions to make on fuel and food as well. If we can drop another 15, 20 kilos of freeze dried food, then we'll look at doing that. Or we're only provisioned for 100 liters of diesel for charging the batteries over eight days. So we could be siphoning out or adding in depending on what the forecast comes through tomorrow morning.
Fair weather fellas like me who sail only in leisure think of you going downwind, full throttle, beautiful
Mm.
sun. When you're looking at balancing speed and safety, when you really get up the speed, how do you make that balance? Do you have to throttle back? What would make you throttle back?
How wet how much water is coming across the deck? What's the loading? We have load cells on the bobstay of the bowsprit, for example. So when the kite's pulling massively through a tack line, we can monitor those loads, and then the runners as well holding the mast up there on a load cell. Those numbers are crucial depending on what sails we have. So there's numbers to monitor, and obviously it can get squally going across as well. So we just have to know where the limit is and be ticking away at that, close to that 100%. And there's guys that have gone around the world on this boat previously, and other Volvo campaigns that know the boat very, very well. So their knowledge and experience is invaluable for keeping the throttle down.
It must be really exhilarating when you get those speeds up though, right?
Yeah, we may see some mid 25s to 30 at times. So then the decision is, when you're driving, sunglasses are great, but you get a lot of water across the face. And the guys, we do sometimes wear ski goggles that it just brushes off, and you're not there trying to dry out your eyes and look where you're going again. So that the decision in the morning with the last forecast is whether I'm bringing the ski goggles or not.
Yeah, and what about technology, Nin? Is around the navigation and that side of it to help you make
Yeah.
the decisions? What kind of high-end technology are you using? Is there any AI involved in any of the processes?
No, no. The AI would come in with autopilots on the Amakas, for example, and you nearly train the autopilot to the heel of the boat, and also the load sensors. And there's a lot of the people that invest in autopilots, when they can use them, are generally can stretch their legs. But for us, I suppose something that you might know of is Starlink, Elon Musk's satellites. we have the ocean going version, not the camper van version or the home version, because they'll be onto us saying, hey, your camper van's a bit offshore. But the navigator will have access to Starlink and download grids, and then different weather forecasts are on a different time, and he'll have alarms set for every update on weather. And the other thing, as well as satellite imagery, which we know of and aren't concerned about, but we will monitor as we go, is the amount of seagrass, seaweed that's kind of very evident towards the south and in the trades. And as you get closer to the Caribbean, there's huge clumps, football fields of this seaweed, which will really slow you down. One of the guys I was chatting last night with, who's aboard with us, they were flossing for seaweed, where you throw a sheet over the bow. It's got a lot of knots on it, go either side, and then you pull the other side, and the knots clink, clink, clink around the keel, to try and get the seaweed off. But there's nothing worse than driving and knowing that you're not at target speeds. And this boat does have endoscopes to go through the hull, swivel it around, look at the keel, and obviously twin rudders on the back, with see-through little fiberglass, plexiglass, that you can look down through the hull and see if there's something on it. So
I understand. Last year there was a whale strike. One of the boats lost the bottom. What is it? 20 centimeters of one of the skids. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're carrying a spare rudder. And this morning we go through our various safety chats, and one was the rudder change and the technique to halyard through the bearings onto the new rudder that's on deck, and then get it over the side with possibly someone over on a harness, and get it back into the rudder bearing, clamp it back on, and off you go again. So you prepare for as much as you can, but see what happens.
And what does the race mean to you personally, and kind of how does it kind of fit into your broader sailing goals, your broader career goals?
Yeah, this race team, we have a transatlantic back, Newport to Cowes in June, and then the Fastnet is a big one. This boat has won the Fastnet before in its previous ownership as Wizard, and then obviously the RORC 100th year anniversary is this Fastnet coming. It's a good program, good team, very good sailors, and a very competitive boat. So it's good to be involved with good programs, with good sales too.
And regardless of the result of the race, how will you celebrate at the end?
I'll have one beer and race to the airport, because my wife's about 4 weeks out from her due date for number 2.
Fantastic!
You might have more experience. Do they come early or late for number 2? So I'll be hightailing it at home. I won't be hanging around for too many nights having nice Caribbean rum. I'll have to get home pretty soon.
Amazing. Nin, listen, everybody in is going to be watching the tracker. You have a yellow brick on the boat, I understand, and we'll be watching you. There's certainly a whole sailing club in Baltimore going to be watching you and cheering you on.
Nice one, where I learned to sail.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the time, and best of luck, and sail safely.
Thank you, Mark. Will do. Cheers.
See you.